On Global TV News Express, Federal Fire Service moves for TETFund partnership. In business, margin targets 32% emission cut by 2035. On foreign scene, Peru declares Mexican president persona non grata. And in sports, Morocco to host 2025 CAF Awards ceremony on November 19. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Express on Global Television. Coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Sadia Yakubu. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV, channel 365 and Star Times, channels 276. And now the news in details. The Federal Fire Service has announced plans to strengthen its partnership with the Tertiary Education Trust Fund to enhance fire safety in Nigerian tertiary institutions. These came to the fore when officials of the Federal Fire Service, led by Comptroller General, paid a courtesy visit to the TETFund in Abuja. Global Television's correspondent Ramsey Eno-Agbo has the details.
Speaking during the visit, Comptroller General of the Federal Fire Service, Samuel Adeyemi, highlighted the need for improved fire prevention measures in universities and colleges. He proposed closer collaboration between both agencies in the installation of firearms, smoke detectors, and extinguishers in all buildings funded by TETFund, as well as regular safety inspections and fire education for students.
Federal Fire Service, we are here today to strengthen the existing relationship that we have with TETFund. The more 2024, about 3 federal universities hostels was gutted by fire. The investment TETFund is doing is large. Then me, myself, and the management, we sat down that we need to collaborate with TETFund.
The TETFund's Executive Secretary, Aksoni Echono, commended the initiative, describing fire safety as essential and pledging to ensure that all tertiary institutions under the fund's project incorporate fire prevention facilities, including mini fire stations where possible.
Fire protection is so essential. Depending on the classification of the buildings, ensuring that you have fire protection devices, the water hydrant, fire hydrants, the sprinkler systems for the bigger buildings, smoke detectors, and all the other facilities that have become so integral. In many countries, it's a prerequisite. So you cannot use any building unless you have those in place. But more importantly, you also need to educate the people. Educating people on the cautiousness and what to do in the event of fire. It's something that should not only be limited to us and our premises, but to all our beneficiary institutions.
The collaboration is expected to go a long way to prevent fire outbreak in and around TETFund facilities and save the lives of both staff and students as well as properties of tertiary institutions in Nigeria. Ramsey Eno-Agbo reporting for Global TV News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has commenced the distribution of sensitive and non-sensitive materials to various local government areas across Anambra State ahead of the governorship election scheduled for Saturday, November 8, 2025. The distribution exercise, which took place at the Central Bank of Nigeria branch in Akwa, was supervised by the State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Dr. Queen Elizabeth Agu, amid heavy deployment of security personnel. Agbomofuegbe has her details.
Dr. Agu noted that INEC had made comprehensive preparations in collaboration with political parties, security agencies, and civil society organizations to guarantee a free, fair, transparent, and credible process, calling on Anambra voters to turn out for the exercise.
I am begging the people of Anambra, please, after all this preparation, everybody has put in something to make sure that this election is what it is. If you do not come out to vote, it's like making a very good food, pot of food, nobody to eat it. It will solve. I beg you, don't stay in the house and be telling people and be saying my candidate is winning. Come and vote for that your candidate.
On his part, Commissioner of Police in charge of election security in Anambra, Abayomi Shogunle, disclosed that the number of security personnel deployed for the poll had been increased from 45,000 to 55,000 officers, with an assurance that the police force had already done critical deployments for the electoral exercise.
And everything that is needed to be put in place to ensure that this happens in terms of security and logistics has been put in place. And part of meeting the timeline is what we are witnessing here today, which is the commencement of the distribution of electoral materials from the Central Bank OCA to all the local government areas in the state.
INEC says 16 candidates from 16 registered political parties are contesting in the governorship election to wrest power from the incumbent governor, and candidates of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, Professor Chukwuma Soludo. Uyi Agbomofuegbe, reporting for Global TV News.
Ministry of Foreign Affairs has briefed members of the diplomatic corps on the reform trajectory under the administration of President Bola Tinubu. The event was attended by diplomats from different countries at the ministry's headquarters in Abuja. Global Television's Foreign Affairs correspondent Ramsey Enoch again has details.
The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Dunomo Umar Ahmed, who represented the minister, Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, says the removal of fuel subsidy marked another pivotal milestone in Nigeria's fiscal reform journey. The briefing was a follow-up to the minister's invitation of Wednesday, 7th August, where he intimated members of the diplomatic corps on the programs and measures being implemented by the federal government aimed at achieving better life for all Nigerians. He said monies from subsidy is now being redirected towards social investment, infrastructure development, and education.
Previously costing over 4 trillion annually, the subsidy had become economically unsustainable and disproportionately beneficial to a narrow segment of the population. Its removal freed substantial fiscal resources that are now being redirected towards social investment, infrastructure development, and education. The savings have been reinvested through initiatives such as the Infrastructure Support Fund for states, the renewed Hope Conditional Cash Transfer Scheme, and targeted support for transport and food security programs.
The minister also said national security remains a top priority for the Tinubu administration, and that there is a comprehensive approach combining military strength, intelligence, diplomacy, and community engagement.
Under this administration, the government is taking decisive actions to stabilize the macroeconomic environment, expand social investments, and improve national security. The government remains focused on national prosperity and economic resilience, continuing to implement far-reaching and beneficial reforms that are beginning to yield the desired results.
The minister assured the diplomats of the determination of Nigeria to continue to cherish and value the cordial relationship between her and individual countries, as well as international organizations. Ramsey Enoch Agbo reporting for Global TV News.
The crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party has taken another turn as the faction loyal to acting National Chairman Umar Damagum convened an emergency meeting of the Board of Trustees in Abuja. Our political correspondent Ubung Usoro has more.
The meeting, held at the Bauchi's Governor's Lodge in Asokoro, Abuja, brought together key members of the National Working Committee, members of the Board of Trustees, and other stakeholders. The emergency BOT session aimed to address the ongoing leadership tussle within the party and chart a path towards reconciliation ahead of the forthcoming PDP National Convention. Speaking during the meeting, Acting National Chairman Umar Damagum reiterated its commitment to peace and unity within the PDP.
A time when some have sought to manipulate our courts and intimidate our judges, it takes bravery to stand for the truth and defend the law. The judgment is not just a victory for our party, but for democracy. And that, my dear party leaders and members, this is exactly what this moment in our national trajectory demands of us as an opposition. Courage.
Also in attendance were prominent party leaders who called for dialogue, discipline, and mutual respect among members. The PDP has been embroiled in a leadership crisis, with a faction loyal to National Secretary Samuel Anyanwu challenging Damago's authority. Ubong Usoro for Global Television.
The Executive Secretary of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, Architect Sonny Echono, says a collaboration with the Public Service Institute of Nigeria is key to building a more efficient and professional public service. He stated this during a strategic meeting between both institutions at TED Fund headquarters in Abuja. Jumai Manson reports.
At the meeting, top management teams of TED Fund and the Public Service Institute of Nigeria reviewed ongoing partnerships and explored fresh opportunities to strengthen capacity building and innovation across the public sector. Executive Secretary TED Fund, Architect Sonny Echono, underscored the need for continuous professional development to help public servants adapt to modern governance demand. He said, TED Fund remains committed to supporting training and innovation that would drive national growth and enhance service delivery.
So I urge you to take advantage of those opportunities, but I don't want to renew the assurances of having a lot of respect for the PSI and the work they're doing. And we are also part of the collaboration.
In response, the Administrator and Chief Executive Officer of Public Service Institute of Nigeria, Barrister Imam Okon, said the visit is to deepen collaboration with TED Fund and reposition the institute as a hub for all public service training needs. She outlined ongoing efforts to expand programs in leadership development, digital skills, and pre-retirement training, while introducing new initiatives such as Smart P and Lead P to prepare officers for higher responsibilities. She emphasized the importance of Peason's Exit Masterclass, designed to equip retiring officers with skills for a smooth transition to post-service life.
We should try to see how we can get people that would retire at least 5 years ahead, start preparing them for exit, because it's not easy trying to integrate after being in the civil service for years, now trying to integrate into the marketplace, because the marketplace is very competitive.
Both initiatives agreed to work towards a new memorandum of understanding to familiarize their collaborations. The partnership is expected to promote professionalism, improve governance efficiency, and align public service training with emerging global trends. With this renewed commitment, TED Fund and the Public Service Institute of Nigeria are setting the pace for a smarter, more responsive, and future-ready public service. Jumai Manson, reporting for Global Television News.
Imo State government says it is sustaining its drive for infrastructure development, economic expansion, and improved welfare for citizens. Commissioner for Information, Public Orientation and Strategy Declan Emlumelu disclosed this while briefing journalists after the State Executive Council meeting presided over by Governor Hope Uzodinma. Our correspondent Amarachi Ibi reports.
At the government house Owerri, the Imo State Executive Council met to review progress on key projects and policies across critical sectors. Briefing newsmen after the meeting, the Commissioner for Information said the council deliberates on reports from ministries and agencies on roads, housing, health and commerce, among others.
First of all, the ESCO approved the purchase of various official vehicles for government services, and also approved 15% payment of consultancy fees to Tyras White Consult Limited for the successful review reconciliation and recovery of the Federation's unremitted Nigeria liquefied natural gas dividends and unremitted oil revenue to states from January 1999 to date.
The council also received updates and approved the Cohort 4 Skill-Up Imo project aimed at equipping more young people with digital and vocational skills for self-reliance and productivity.
The ESCO was also informed and approved for the recruitment of Cohort 4 Skill-Up Imo project, and this process has commenced and it can be done through my Imo app. Imo people are advised or encouraged to apply as the recruitment is ongoing.
With a renewed commitment to transparency and accountability, the Uzodinma-led administration says it will continue to deliver tangible results that reflect good governance and responsible leadership. From Owerri, Amarachi Ibe reporting for Global TV News.
A coalition of civil service society groups has staged a peaceful protest against factory farming and multinational meat company, accusing them of marginalizing smallholder farmers across the country. Ubong Usoro reports.
The protesters, comprising environment advocates, civil society organization, and local farmers, say smallholder farmers make up 70% of Nigeria's agricultural workforce, but remain neglected in government policies and international partnerships.
So right now, you are saying before JBS establishes tentacles in our country, in our communities, we have to do due diligence.
They argued that ongoing dominance of industrial livestock companies like JBS poses a serious threat to local food security, rural livelihoods, and environments, citing issues such as deforestation, water pollution, and unfair market competition.
Let's come out with our strength, with our energy. Let's scream to the top of our voice that we say no to any type of investment that degrades our forests.
The protesters urged the federal government to prioritize sustainable agricultural practices and provide smallholder farmers with better access to credit facilities, markets, and climate resilience technologies. The group also called for stronger environmental laws to ensure multinational agri-businesses operate responsibly and sustainably in Nigeria. Ubong Usoro for Global Television News.
You're watching the live broadcast of News Express. When News Express returns, Morocco to host 2025 CAF Award ceremony on November 19. Details coming shortly, plus business and foreign stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back from that short break. In business, Nigeria has set a target to cut its greenhouse gas emissions by 32% by 2035. Vice President Kashim Shettima announced yesterday at the Leaders Climate Summit during the COP30 conference in Brazil, representing President Bola Tinubu. Vice President Shettima said the new target reaffirms Nigeria's leadership in Africa's climate action efforts and reflects a firm commitment to global sustainability. The reduction plan, he explained, will be driven by two flagship initiatives: the National Carbon Market Framework and the Climate Change Fund, designed to attribute billions of dollars in clean energy investments and support climate adaptation across vulnerable communities. Federal Inland Revenue Service will on Monday officially unveil the Nigerian Tax Reform Act at a strategic stakeholder engagement session in Abuja. The event is expected to mark a major shift in the country's economic policy as the government moves to simplify the tax system and improve revenue efficiency. The statement, signed by the Service Director of Taxpayer Services, Dr. Lovett Onunuga, explained that the engagement is aimed at strengthening collaboration and ensuring smooth implementation of new laws. And on the foreign scene, Philippine president has declared a state of national calamity after typhoon killed at least 140 people, leaving another 127 missing and unleashing devastating flood across central Philippines, with the storm now heading towards Vietnam. The president's announcement of the National Calamity Authorities, the government, to release funds for aid and imposed price ceiling on the basic necessities. Ubong Uyi Agwamofwebe completes the report.
Floodwaters, described as unprecedented, rushed through Cebu province's towns and cities this week, sweeping away cars, riverside shanties, and massive shipping containers. President Marcos says it is unfortunate that another typhoon is coming, with the potential to become even stronger.
Because of the scope of shall we say, problem areas that will be hit, that has been hit by Tino and will be hit by Uwan. There was a proposal from the NDRMC, which I approved, that we will declare a national calamity. Because ilang regions na yan, there will be almost 10 regions, 12 regions that will be affected.
More than 1,500 kilometers to the country's east, tropical storm Fungwang is slowly building strength as it heads towards the Philippines' main island of Luzon, one that could reach super typhoon status before it makes a landfall on Monday. Uyi Agmofwegbe, reporting for Global TV News.
Peru's Congress voted to declare Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum persona non grata on Thursday after her country granted asylum to former Peruvian Prime Minister on trial for alleged aiding a 2022 coup attempt. The two Latin American countries have had strained diplomatic relations for years, but tensions rose on Monday when Mexico granted asylum to ex-Prime Minister Betsy Chavez, promoting Peru to break off formal ties. Chavez was Peru's prime minister in December 2022 when the president, Pedro Castillo, was outside for trying to resolve Congress following a month-long standoff. And in sports, the Nigerian Football Federation has formally lodged a protest with FIFA regarding the selection of South Africa and Benin's officials for the upcoming World Cup qualifying playoff between Nigeria and Gabon. The NFF chieftain has characterized this appointment as a violation of neutrality and a potential threat to the Super Eagles' chances of qualifying for the 2026 World Cup. The Confederation of African Football has announced that the 2025 edition of the CAF Awards will take place in Rabat, Morocco on Wednesday, November 19, 2025. According to a statement posted on the CAF website on Friday, the event scheduled to begin at 7 p.m. Nigerian time will celebrate Africa's top footballers, coaches, clubs, and national teams for their outstanding performances over the past years. Nigeria once again takes center stage with several of its stars among the frontrunners for major honors. As Global TV News Express comes to an end, here is a recap of our top stories. On Global TV News Express, the Federal Fire Service has announced plans to strengthen its partnership with the Tertiary Education Trust Fund to enhance fire safety in Nigerian tertiary institutions. In business, Nigerian has set a target to cut its greenhouse gas emissions by 32% by 2035. Vice President Kashim Shettima announced yesterday at the Leaders Climate Summit during the COP30 conference in Brazil. On foreign scene, Peru's Congress voted to declare Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum persona non grata on Thursday after her country granted asylum to a former Peruvian Prime Minister on trial for allegedly aiding a 2022 coup attempt. And in sport, the Confederation of African Football has announced that 2025 edition of the CAF Awards will take place in Rabat, Morocco on Wednesday, November 19. That's it on Global TV News Express. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channels 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. I am Sadia Yakubu saying thank you for watching.